Hey everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I'm assuming we don't need mics in a room like this. This should be good. Thank you all for being here. My name's Kevin. I'm with Pantheon, one of the organizing sponsors here. And I am excited to be joined by some people that I've known for a very long time, some people that I'm just meeting over the last week to talk to you about, let me read the topic here. What's working to drive experiences and conversion in a new era? So the web is fundamentally changing. You heard Josh in the keynote yesterday talk about, I think he phrased it as, the web is being completely dismantled and rebuilt right now. So how do we think about these digital experiences from a marketing lens to increase conversion, to increase engagement, and serve our customers better? So joined by some great marketers here who are going to talk about this. We're going to walk through some questions that I have, but we will also want to make this interactive. So if you have anything you want to hear about, any questions you have, feel free to just shoot your hand up. I'll find you, and we can dig in on those as well. So thanks for being here. I will pass it down the aisle here. And Sharm, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Sharm, not Charm, but I'll politely answer to both. I'm a B2B marketing strategist as well as industry ABM marketing leader. I am listed as an independent, but I work at Amazon Web Services. No, I will not answer any specific company questions because this is not a sponsored talk by my company, but I'm excited to be here today.
Hi everyone, Dave Rigotti. I have been doing B2B marketing for quite a while, startups. I worked at a company called Marketo for a while, and now a founder of a competitor, Marketo. And just really passionate about B2B marketing, web marketing. That's how I started doing SEO like 15, 20 years ago now. And I also run the largest B2B marketing conference in SF called Demand and Expand. And thanks for coming.
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Spence. I lead marketing at a company called EvolutionIQ. It's an insurtech company based in New York. I've spent about the last 10 years or so in B2B marketing for early stage companies, usually Series A through C, somewhere in there. Before that, I was an entrepreneur, which is how I stumbled my way into marketing.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please?
You have it.
We will be conducting a fire department inspection for the new fire alarm system for the tow market, timeout market. Please disregard any audible or visual signals that you may hear or see. This will only be a test. Thank you for your cooperation.
We may need those microphones.
Well, they're right there.
I still remember when I didn't know what a landing page was. So here we are, and it feels like we're reinventing ourselves yet again.
Well, thank all three of you for being here. I'm going to start with a loaded question, a big question. We are talking about how things are completely and fundamentally changing across the digital landscape. AI has changed how we think about building things on the back end, but also how our customers experience our digital experiences on the front end. What is the single biggest change that you've seen over the past 12 to 18 months? And I'll leave it open so anybody who wants to jump in can.
I guess I can chime in. I think the single biggest change is everyone is plugging in AI to products, content, and solutions, but they're not necessarily expanding what that means and what the value is for their customers and their audiences. So I think about things in terms of economic value, value-based communications and messaging and content. And having AI embedded isn't enough. Like, you have to land what that value is. If that's time to market, if that's building trust, if that's speed to get things done, like, those measurements matter, and quantifying that and qualifying that, and I think is really important. So that's what I'm noticing, but that's also a gap. So I've given you a 2 for that.
That's perfect. I was at a higher ed conference last week, and there were 3 or 4 booths that just said, we're the AI-powered platform, and gave you no context into what the tool actually did, how it's going to help your business. And so I think that disconnect is prevalent, and it's on fire.
Don't like it, they don't like it. They don't like the answer. Like, nope.
I'm going to try again. I won't put you on the spot till this is done. Well, Yeah.
No, at first I thought it was because he opened the door.
I did say that.
He was like,
Closed session.
sorry.
Yeah.
Can I do a selfie while this is going on? Everyone like look happy and hands up. Woo!
I do.
I always take a selfie when I go to a conference, so my wife doesn't think I just like went to the spot. Like actually working.
All right, you're on the spot then, Selfie King.
Okay.
What is one of the biggest changes you've seen, and how are you adapting to it?
I think one of the biggest changes is just actually change. Like usually change is super gradual, and it seems like in the last 18 months it's been like, let's rethink everything. Let's rethink marketing. Let's rethink how we build our product. Let's rethink our messaging, hiring. Like, all change is on the table right now, and it's almost always like, hey, have you tried AI? Like, is the first answer or the first question you get about it. So I'm just so used to things like a gradual change or gradual momentum, and now it's just like, boom, like, let's go, which is exhausting. It's a
So
lot.
I actually want to ask a follow-up on that because inflection is on the forward-moving side of that. I think in a lot of ways you're going up against an incumbent player who moves very slowly and has a lot of kind of stagnated pieces of their product, and you're leading with AI in a lot of places. How are you doing that in a way that is authentic and helpful and useful to people?
Yeah, for our product, we don't, if you go to our website, like, we don't say we're like the AI native platform. Like, you go, I was in SF last week, and like every billboard is like dark colors, it's got like a futuristic style, and it's like AI native blah, and I could not tell them apart at all. And the one billboard that stood out the most to me in SF was from Clay, and it was like a white background, they had like clay modeling, and it was just like
Their
just
branding is
totally
so good.
different. It was like great, and it like everyone's trying to push AI, and the ones that are standing out the most to me are the ones that aren't just like shoving it down my throat. So we obviously like talk about AI. We talk about how it can like help you in your job and how it can change your processes, but not how it's like replacing humans or taking over your job or shoving it down your throat. It's much more like, hey, let's talk about how you can, the stuff that you're doing in your work that you hate the most, and let's put that to AI rather than, take your job away.
Well, first I co-sign everything that you said, which is just there's a ton of word salad out there, I think in every industry with respect to AI. So I would almost like try to eliminate the word from your vocabulary when writing. But I would say another big trend that I've seen, this is again maybe unique to early stage marketing.
It's always when you start talking. Why is that?
Every other word. I'm working on it. Okay, I'll keep going. There's a lot of, so for a long time in early stage marketing, basically, Series A through C B2B companies, the budget is very small if it exists at all. So you're always like scrapping for like money and like how do we produce this? And so a lot of times the way that played out in sort of pre-AI era was like you invested in a ton of demand gen motions, right? There wasn't a lot of investing in brand for a really long time. There's a lot more potential to invest in brand right now as an early stage company because the costs have come down significantly and the ability to produce something at a relatively like high quality that kind of meets the bar and doesn't look like it was made like in a garage or is like a ransom letter, which usually is what happened before the models got really good. So I think that that's sort of, notwithstanding the sort of noise trend, there are things that are much more achievable for a wider variety of businesses than there were before.
Yeah. So this actually ties into a conversation you and I had earlier this week or last week. It's all a haze now. Just around how you think about scaling and building a team, especially at a scale-up company. With the new tooling that's out there and different ways that you can leverage some of that. Can you talk a little bit about how your perception of what you need in a marketing team has changed?
Yeah, for sure. I can fully tell you that I do not have this playbook locked down yet. And I think it will probably be some time before marketing leaders kind of have a good, really consensus understanding of like, who do we need to hire, what skills do they need to have. So what does that mean in a world where, yeah, we're still hiring, right? I need to grow my team currently. And where I think about it a lot is just the specificity of, sort of, if you're a job candidate, thinking really in detail about what the market is that the company you're applying to is trying to reach, and like bring some knowledge. Like, I don't have time to keep up with these tools, right? I'm like, I am drowning in new tool education, right? It's like every day you see like 100+ posts that you want to look at more deeply. But one thing that you can do as a job candidate is you can really make clear that you understand the problem that a marketing leader is trying to solve. And you can make clear that you have some understanding of some of these new tools, and you don't have to have all of the answers figured out, but just showing that you know that would, for me, give me a lot more confidence, right? I'm not looking for somebody who has all of the right skills. I'm looking for somebody with the ability to learn fast and a willingness to dive into maybe tools they haven't played with before and used, but the combination of that experimental mindset plus the judgment of like what meets the quality bar for B2B marketing. Especially, I'm currently in like a very like enterprise motion, so like quality bar is super high as far as what we put out into the world.
I'll jump in, if that's all right. I just hired for a product marketing role, which for me has been like the hardest role to ever hire for. It's most difficult, and I'm always looking for somebody that's super creative, can help like interact with our CEO and like come out with like great messaging and great copy. Like that's always what I'm looking for, but it's so hard to find that person, and I ended up hiring somebody that is just really good with AI. And she kind of came into the role with just like, hey, look, like I'm not going to be that creative person, but what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our call recordings with customers, all of our call recordings with prospects, we're going to put them into ChatGPT. We're going to ask, like, what are the pain points our prospects are having, and just kind of prompting. And she's come almost this like great, like she is a great prompt engineer and able to be like, the CEO has one idea on what the messaging is. Well, it's like, well, here's what everyone's saying in calls, and like, here's why, and here's what ChatGPT says. And it's like, the CEO's like, all right, that's pretty good. Like usually it's like when you have a junior product marketing person, it's like, no, I'm the CEO, like I want this. And you're kind of coming with all this ammo, and it's been really cool. She's even taken it to the point of, we're also like a pretty enterprise product, but she's taking like AI and creating demo environments. Every time we get on a demo with a new prospect, and it's populated with all their data and even like has their own branding in it and stuff, and it's just like a Claude prompt that then goes out and builds all this stuff. And it's been cool to like, now I'm like, all right, maybe I need to take away what I think about like what a good person in that role looks like and be like, well, could somebody who's just like crazy good at AI do a great job? Because it was totally true for this one.
Awesome. Sherm, you've been on multiple sides of this, consultancies, advising for small startups, and the company that I'm not allowed to name. Also,
you can name them. I'm not speaking on behalf of them.
Fair.
Yes.
Fair. How do you think about like the essential rules when it comes to a new digital experience, and the tools and the people that you need?
Yeah, it's a great question. Let me hit tools first, because I think that's where people go and where there's a lot of, to use your earlier comment, like word salad and technology fatigue, and then I'll hit on people. So when I think about tools, it's up-leveling it to thinking and problem solving. And it's what are we solving for and what are the outcomes we're trying to drive, rather than what's the right tool for content, what's the right tool for like analysis, what's the right tool for customer success, because I tangentially touched that too. And it's looking at, okay, within our tech stack, what do we need to evolve where our tools and capabilities talk to each other so there's a seamless customer experience at the end of the day. I mean, I do work at enterprise now, but I'm also CMO advisor for a growth stage startup. And so my conversation with them is always about I care less about how many deals and demos you're wanting to do, because that's important from your sales pipeline, but I care about how are you building the foundation for long-term success and growth. And you don't need all of the tools. A lot of tools are now embedding where there's multi-capabilities within that. So look at your budget with what outcomes you're trying to drive and pair that together. Then when I look at people, I think I take a little bit of a different approach from you guys to my earlier up-leveling of thinking and problem solvers. I care less about, I have 20, 30 years of doing product marketing or content marketing or social media marketing. I care less about, I know how to use XYZ AI tools. Rather, I care about, give me a time and example from a behavioral perspective where you had a problem you didn't know how to solve, and what was your approach? Can you think and can you problem solve? And then putting that together. So I look for candidates and I look for colleagues, and I'm on interview loops at a company we can't name, where we're looking for candidates that understand markets, understand industry verticals, understand our target and ideal customer profiles. But I'm also looking for candidates who can embrace and accept cognitive diversity. And by going through some of that behavioral-based interviewing with them, they're showing me how they're actually trying to solve problems. They're showing me how they're using the tools in their tool belts. They're showing me what resistance they may have to adopting new tools and new AI features and capabilities by asking some of those questions as well. So if I can get people who think differently, who think creatively, who know what they know and are comfortable with what they don't know and like approaching new ways of solving it, then that's how I look at having a good mix of a marketing team.
I think the problem solving angle especially is really salient right now. Is the resources to do pretty much anything we want to do exist. You can find the tooling, you can find what you need to get it done. You just got to be able to think through how it's going to happen and understand that. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about case studies. Before we came out here, we were taking a look at a website. I don't know if my product marketing team is in here, but I want to steal this from them. We were looking at what was the name of the company?
Sentry.
Sentry, who on their website had a marketing mode, which is what you would expect from a website, and then a dev mode, which strips out all the marketing content and just has basically a chat box where you can interact directly and learn what the product does. How are you thinking about personalization and segmentation across the web and creating tools that get people to the answers and the conversion points that they need to, you need to as a business, quicker in a new age of tooling? And I know you guys are spending a lot of time thinking about this, so I keep looking at
I know. I'll start. I have like a very strong opinion that we're in this like very quick transformation of the web from kind of point and click browse mode on websites to just immediate information retrieval. So, I remember making my first website and front page. Like, I don't know, forever it's been like you make pages for very specific topics, like SEO, of course, like made us go create even more pages for even more specific topics. And, it was like you put it out there and your potential customers, whatever, they have to like browse the navigation and try to find and hop around for what they're looking for. And then us as like web owners are like, well, did my website actually answer their question? I don't know. Like, maybe we'll make another page for this, and just like, I hope they find it. And like, we added search bars, but still, it's a lot of work to try to answer a question when you get on a website. And we've seen very quickly, like, ChatGPT grew so fast that people don't want to have to go find it on their own. They just want that immediate information retrieval. So I have this like strong opinion that like what Sentry did, like the front page of most websites and any like product pages or comparison pages and even like personal websites will just be like a chat bot that you have on your site, and folks won't go and browse pages. There'll still be, I'm sure, content pages, but it'll be a chatbot experience and you'll just get your question. I think that's like a much better experience for your visitors because they're just getting the information they want and they don't have to try to hunt for it, or maybe you didn't even make a page that answers their question, but it would just know the answer. And then it's an awesome experience as like a web owner because now you know like exactly the questions that people are coming to your website to ask. Like, I've always wanted that. I've always wanted to know like, hey, who's coming to my website? Like, is it answering their questions? What didn't it answer? And maybe what did they have in their brain that I could have done a better job answering? And when you have a chat experience in your site, like you can just know all of that. And we're seeing this like evolution where it's like, there certainly was like the chatbots in the corner, but now we have like whole sidebars with like web lists and Docket and OneMind. We're even doing like little avatars. And now we're like already seeing Sentry just like you click a button and it's just the website. There's no logo bar. There's no homepage messaging. It's just a chat bot. And I'm just like, I think that's where it's going. Like, and I think it's coming like very quick. It's probably gonna start with like developer focused tools first, where you just want an answer and you're just feeding it product docs. But I feel like it's coming.
Yeah.
I feel like it's coming fast.
The thing I really like about theirs is it gives you the choice. When you first started talking about this concept on LinkedIn months ago at this point, I, to be transparent, hated it. I thought it sounded awful. I've been in digital marketing forever. I like websites. I think in terms of websites. I was a journalist in the past.
How much time have we spent arguing about one word on a homepage, like, or a specific graphic? I'm like, oh man, like, I can get that time back. Like, that specific word doesn't actually matter.
And exactly. The more I thought about it, the more, like, giving people the flexibility to interact with your website the way that they want to and get those answers quicker. At least having that option there, I think, needs to be a part of the conversation as you're building a site going forward. So I love it. I'm excited to see what happens with it.
1 year, we're gonna rip it out. We're not gonna have an option. You're just gonna have to chat.
So that's I'm still feeling old as I'm pushing against that. But
Well, to be fair though, I will say that like in this world where we're envisioning like a dramatically different experience, I think going back to something you said about product marketing and what you said about like problem solving, right?
Yep.
You have to really know your customers. You have to know what words they use to talk about their own problems to solve. Because you could very easily land on a website that just has a chatbot there, and if your chatbot isn't like tuned to pick up on the words that your customers are using, or there's the other option too, which is even harder to solve for. Your customers might not know what they're looking for, right? And so you do have to get to this point, and it is a bit muddy, where like between sort of the knowledge of your buying audience and the people who are landing on your site, and sort of what you have documented that can be surfaced for those individuals. Those two things need to have sort of like a Venn diagram overlap. Otherwise, you'll just end up with like poor outputs. And like chat exchanges that are not good are really not good. Like that can be like, people are annoyed by landing on websites that don't serve them, like they kind of rage scroll. But I think there's like a animus that develops with like chatbots that don't work well. So I think it's like a little bit of a double-edged sword. You really, like, in some ways everything has changed, but also nothing has changed, right? Like, you have to know your audience really well. You have to use the words they use, and do that no matter what.
Interesting. I'm going to and also.
Yeah.
So agree and then like blow up a little bit.
Okay.
So, so from an and also I agree. I think that having a chatbot that's really good and really well trained with AI is going to be the new norm. There's a company, I'm spacing on their name right now. I met them at Digital Marketing World Forum, and they probably have the best that I've seen in market today. When I remember, I'll probably tell you so you can spread it out amongst the masses here. And they gave a demo where not only do you have the bot, but now it's better like voice recognition. So like their VP of sales recorded him speaking for 15 minutes and the entire bot had his voice on it. And it was very human sounding, and that's cool, but I'm like you, Kevin, where I'm not ready for this. I'm like, that's terrifying AF. And I have a twin, so to me that's terrifying AF. Where I blow this up then is like working with Pepper. So Pepper Enterprise Content Intelligence Platform, they are AI native. I know you don't like that in their messaging, but and everything they do is around automating your entire content lifecycle with AI search. So where I think this blows up is the personalization for your audience is no longer linear. It's no longer a linear customer journey. And so as a brand like strategist also, that like irks me. It's like, can it just be easy and can I just always do these things and just make them more awesome? The reality is it's more matrix. Think of a web. our customers are coming through nonlinear experiences, and where I think LLMs and ChatGPT and Google Gemini and stuff are playing in is from a website perspective. I think you're going to have the content, but your strategy needs to change. Like, yes, keywords are going to be hard, but I also think from an enterprise perspective, because that's mainly my background, you have to train and educate your audience on like that fluency and what words to use. What I'm noticing, we did this at Pepper for a client recently, is we looked at their H2 headings on websites and we changed them from statements to questions. And a lot of AI models and LLM models are trained on that. And so they've actually noticed like a 10% lift in terms of retention on their site and then coming through their sales pipeline. And I think that's something that was really interesting. I mean, that data point is really small. It's only happened with a few customers, like their Series A, but we're noticing that trend is, okay, looking at your content and optimizing it for LLMs to improve and discover your search. And that's driving more personalization, because then as someone is doing a search and asking a question, your content's coming up and they're landing where they probably should be on your site.
I'm still like not convinced on like voice agents or like digital avatars. I went on a site for a startup, and they did similar to what you were talking about. They had they actually took a picture of their CEO. Their CEO uploaded his voice, and it was like a digital avatar. Was like the hero section of the site, and it was like, click here, and you can like talk with him. And I work from home, so I was like sitting on the couch. I think I had like a Mets game or something on TV, and I like lay down their site, and I just like I got a big pop up that was like, connect your microphone, and I was like, no, like, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, like my home, I felt like a privacy evasion. Like I'll talk with somebody on like chat, but like just letting somebody into my home felt like it felt too much. Like, so, I don't know. Maybe that's. I bet my kids will be like, whatever, chat away.
Yeah, there's something about the AI avatars too that, and I know we get more comfortable with technology as you're exposed to it, but right now feels really dystopian when you come across one of those.
Yeah.
So.
If it was like a digital celebrity, I would have been like,
yeah,
heck yeah, let's chat.
yeah.
I actually was thinking about, there's sometimes you really want that and sometimes you really don't. I want to build myself maybe not always on, but like a lot of times on coach for like internally. I'm trying to get one of the engineers at my company to vibe code this with me. Anyways, but the whole vision for this is that I overcommit to various things all the time. This is like my toxic trait as a person. And so I want to create this basically like a coach that basically looks at my Slack, it looks at my meeting transcripts, it looks at my email, and it's like, here are all of the things that you have committed to doing. And it gives me input like 3 times a day and asks me to validate, like, am I really going to do this? And then if I say I'm not, it's going to automatically generate a draft message to that person over the right channel to basically be like, just kidding, LOL, sorry, this isn't happening. I wouldn't use those terms, but sometimes I would. It depends on the person. And then I wanted to learn to like help me understand when I'm overcommitting. And it can basically be like, yeah, no, you know, and you could give it a different thing. Anyway, so the point is like we live in a wild new world of, and sometimes you want that. Like this is me saying I want something that's listening to me because I know I have these challenges and this is like more achievable for me. And really weirdly, it's within grasp to build these things. So that was a little bit of a tangent in terms of like, how do we think about doing our jobs? But I think that it just speaks to the availability of like the different solutions and the speed with which you can test and actually just see, like, do people land on your site and engage with the chat more? Mm-hmm. You could probably roll that out inside of a week right now. And you could, if you get enough volume on your site, you will have data immediately to pay attention to and to say, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And should we be doing more of this or maybe doing less of it?
If all your calls are recorded, all your Slacks, you have internal docs, and you're feeding that to like an internal avatar or chatbot for the team, like, can you just take off work? Like, my next vacation, it made me think like my next long vacation, I should try that and just like let the team like ask my like digital avatar like questions and see like, can a digital avatar do my job?
Okay, so this gets to my feeling though about like, I don't know, this is maybe more squarely in like digital marketing and how do we use tools. Like we all as marketers probably have experimented with using tools to write copy. Have you done this? Yeah, right. Okay. I have a feeling this is like I want to coin a term that's like the entropy of like the rounds of iterations that you do with an LLM to write copy, and it's like at a certain point I'm like, this is terrible. And I'm like, we need to start over. And I'm still figuring out what the right, it's great at some things, right? But it requires a lot of human judgment and taste to write great copy still. Like we are not at a place, in my view, from what I have seen, which is data point of 1, to completely take ourselves out of the equation. Now, again, I live in a B2B enterprise world that's incredibly precious. Like we're trying to reach like the C-suite of like Fortune 100 insurers, right? And so it's very like, we want that person to feel like a special flower when they land on anything that's targeted towards them. That's very different than like, I am trying to sell a dietary supplement, right? Which is what Instagram is trying to sell me all the time, by the way. There's a lot of dietary supplements for women of my age. So yeah, I guess I would say, like, I think human judgment is required. Like, we still have a role here. And I don't think that's going away. That's a question.
Can I just say something? It just sounds like it's a very interesting overlap between we started with marketing communication strategy and we've gone into productivity.
Yeah.
It's like, is there a Venn diagram there? Are they one and the same? Can you not talk about one without the other? Or are they different, you think?
It's a great question, and I think that part of what's driving adoption, so I'm industry marketing lead for financial services, ABM strategy at my company. We will not fight. And so what I've noticed is that AI literacy is becoming really important in organizations, but part of what comes with that AI literacy isn't just, okay, can you talk about it? Do you know about it? But it's like, how are you using it? So from productivity perspective, what's the time that's being saved? So when you talk about cycle time for creating copy, that's like an example of, is AI actually helping you be more productive or less productive? And where do you start hitting the point of diminishing returns where you should probably start, or stop using it and then lean in more on human judgment. Yeah. But I think we're always going to have that AI synergy with AI human synergy and productivity. And as we look at new workforce incumbents for marketing, or those that are transitioning, let's say going to get their MBAs and then transitioning from being an analyst to marketing, I think there's going to be an element of having to train them more on human discernment and when content and copy looks good, so that as they work with more tools, they're able to get better at finessing prompting or learning when to stop because they're hitting diminishing returns so they can continue to be productive.
I went to medieval times a couple weeks ago. And we had
This is so good.
it was awesome time. But we wore normal clothes, and I didn't realize that we shouldn't have done that. So we got this cool photo, but we're just in normal clothes. And so I put it in ChatGPT, and I was like, add a little robe, add a crown, do this. It was probably 5 prompts, and I looked at our outfits, and it was great. I was like, this is awesome. And then I looked at our face, and we're 30 years older. Every prompt added an extra 3 to 5 years. And I was so focused on this one part of the image that I didn't know that. I shared it in the family chat, and the mother-in-law was like, delete that. No, it's the human element is it matters. Sometimes it gets it really good, and sometimes you're like, nah.
Yeah. To your point originally too, I think it's becoming increasingly harder to separate productivity from marketing and how we think about it. As we are all, I'm sure everybody in this room, being asked to do more with less every single day. I had a conversation this morning with my lead developer on our web team about how we can use AI to let people self-serve when they want to create pages across our marketing team. Because right now, too many of them are coming to him, and he only has so many hours in the day. So finding these ways that we can be more productive, do more with less, I think those two things become inextricably connected. What other questions do you guys have? We've only got 15 minutes or so here. Would love to open it up to the room.
Yeah, hey, thanks guys. It's been a two-part question. First part, it's a quote that stuck with me. Shopify CEO last year said, AI, short-term overhyped, long-term underhyped. Would like your thoughts on that. That's the first part. Second part, I was just heard a talk in person the other day, leader of NLX. He builds conversational AI platforms, and his idea was that in 2 to 5 years, the front page of the website might be hello dot something, and before you actually access the home page, there's going to be that chatbot. So just responses, please.
I guess I'll go first. Sorry. I think just to parrot back what I heard, our opinion on short-term overhype, long-term underhype.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the second one was
The reality and potential adoption timeline for websites. The landing page would be a hello dot experience.
so hyper simplification.
Yeah, like conversational AI, even
Yeah.
before you access,
Interesting.
navbar, hero, etc.
Yeah. So to the first part of your question, short-term overhype, long-term underhype. I'm going to now give my strategy consultant answer. It depends. And there's a few reasons why. One, I think everyone is doing some level of adoption because you roll back 15 years with cloud. If you're not adopting, you're falling behind. I think long-term underhype also depends because while there's adoption, I don't think that a lot of companies are yet figuring out how to tie that to key measurement. And if you're not tying it to key business outcomes, whether it's internal from an OpEx perspective or external, then I think then you're not seeing the returns. So I know if I use tech, for example, high tech, since that's where I'm at, global tech, whatever you want to call us, platform companies. While there's been this trend of layoffs because we're noticing all of this efficiency and productivity gains with adopting AI, I don't think that's the reality because I have yet to see a company who's been able to actually prove it with data. I think that when you start tying it to business outcomes and what people are doing, and then you can quantify that, but also with your customer acquisition and adoption model. So net revenue retention, for example. And then companies that make usually over 20% ARR, about 60% of their new revenue is not coming from new customers. It's coming from existing customers that are diversifying their portfolio. That's the data that I'm seeing out there. So I think that if there starts to be married to the revenue, pipeline velocity, and proving that out with AI, so economic value-based pricing from that percentage point, that's why I'm an advocate for it. I think then it's no longer a hype, it's real and it's reality and it's here to stay. I don't think that that's going to happen in the next 2 to 5 years. I think it's possible depending on industry. Tech, I'm not so sure. Retail, CPG, luxury, possibly. I think you'll see that simplification. When I look at the company, we won't name that I'm there. We have too many products and solutions that are serving literally every industry to just have a website that's simplified hello dot. I think I answered both parts of your question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll chime in too.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Humans, we always overestimate in 1 year and underestimate in 10 years. For everything, it doesn't matter what it is, and AI's certainly in that bucket. But as you're saying, the train left the station, and it's happening. And I like your comment about the luxury goods. I bet we have a divergent of websites that are chatbots where you don't need an emotional connection as much, and then some that will never have that because they're selling $10,000 purses, not you're not asking questions about what is the strap length, you're asking who uses this purse, something like that. And that's you want to have this visual emotional connection, and I bet you'll see a divergent soon.
The ethos of a brand, if it's not tied to the ethos of a brand. Yeah.
I have maybe a different perspective. I don't think it's in conflict. I work in a highly regulated industry, which is insurance. The AI that we sell into insurance carriers, they are the least calm people in the world about the ramifications of using new technology. They are highly risk averse. Literally, that's all they do. And so I will say the following. There's a huge and very high trust bar that has to be met for enterprise grade AI in highly regulated industries, certainly. There's a lot of just literal resistance and inertia, right? And it's just people being people, and they're not necessarily wrong. They're like, hey, I've been doing this job for 50 years. Now you're saying I should do this job with AI. And then the AI makes one mistake and they're like, I am never using this again, you know? And there's a lot of work that goes into overcoming that kind of resistance. And they're also not wrong. Like, it's very easy from a tech perspective to look at somebody like that and be like, that person is just not with it, okay? But this is a person who reads claims files every day of their life and tries to make the right judgment call. And they are not wrong for saying, hey, we need to take this slow because it should make all of us very nervous and a little bit cautious when we're starting to think about AI and things like insurance claims. Now, it's also true that they need AI very desperately, okay? Because caseloads are rising, there's like hundreds of pages of documentation. Your average claims worker has like easily 20,000 pages of medical documentation on their desk at any given point in time. So yeah, they need help. And AI is definitely going to help them do their jobs better. But there is a lot of like working out how that plays out. And there's a lot of proving ROI, right? Which is like, hey, we're actually doing things better in a world where we have AI and a human claims examiner or adjuster working together. So that's a very like maybe niche perspective, but one of the things, it is niche and it's not, because these are some of the largest companies in the world, right? And so when AI gets adopted within these large enterprises, it has a huge impact on the worlds that we all exist in. And I think that paying attention and just being aware of like, there is some push and pull and inertia there, and some of it's not a bad thing. And we also should be pushing and you know, seeing what we can do differently, and all of those things can be true at once. The other thing that I would just say about underhyping and overhyping, I think there are a lot of stories out there that try to sort of kind of say like, oh, we're seeing job postings or you know, go down, and it's like completely aligned with the chart for when AI was launched. And I'm like, yes and no, but like, just beware of macroeconomics. Like, there are a lot of things that are happening that influence like how many job openings there are. I do think maybe like there's, you know, people don't know, like I can say this, like I don't always know like what is the job posting I need to post right now. Like, how do I describe the person that I'm trying to hire? 10 years ago it was easier because those people, it was like, I kind of know what I'm doing, and now we're rewriting the playbook. So hiring is different. Maybe there's fewer job postings because we're still figuring out how to describe who we're trying to hire. Maybe that'll catch up at some point. Also, there's just 10,000 macroeconomic factors that influence like how many open jobs there are. So, end rant.
Who's like, raise your hand if you're optimistic for the web in the AI era. Just like you think it's good for the web. And then who's like not optimistic about it, like a pessimist. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know which it'll be yet. Right. Like it's like you hear it's like the end of the web and it's the beginning of the web. Like I don't know. Like Wikipedia's like like
it's an evolution
just
of the
like
web.
I personally feel like AI in a way is like a fog. It's a really dense fog. Like, have you ever seen about like those accidents that will happen on highways out in Alaska? Like when, like
marine layer.
Yeah, like your visibility has shortened to just like a few feet in front of you. So now no one knows whether or not to move fast or move slow, and there's no neural communication among us all to say everybody just drive 20 miles an hour, even if you can't see what's in front of you. Right. There's none of that. So I feel like it's going to be some time before that fog starts to lift.
Mm-hmm.
I have two anecdotes. I tried to change a haircut appointment using the Square Up app. I hope no one here works for Square. And there was no, and like you're in context. This is the date and time. There's no button there for change or delete or cancel. It's chat. So more context. I had multiple appointments because if I don't book my haircut appointments out, I'll forget. And yeah, so I go. I need to cancel this appointment. Oh, do you want to cancel the last one I'm aware of, which is 3 months in the future? I said, no. Okay, we won't cancel it. And so that was a complete fail. I ended up just calling my hairdresser. I have a client projects right now who are consultants and they're thought leader writers and people like that. And they're yelling at me why the website's not done. AI could have done that in 2 weeks. And I'm like, you don't even know your business.
It used to be their nephew.
So I think the metaphor of the fog is perfect. It's a tool, and no one, there are people who know how to use it, but I feel like the mad scramble, jump off the hill because everyone else is doing it right now is probably going to make me a lot of money in the next 2 or 3 years since I fix the websites. So, yeah.
Laura's had her hand up for a while here.
Oh, kind of going off of what you were saying earlier, what do you feel like is easier for job seekers like myself who are for the right person, but because of the new technology and tools and everything, they knock us out of the rank?
I think it's a really good question, and honestly, I don't think there's one right answer. I think a lot of it has to do with specific companies have different policies and sort of ways that they're screening candidates, and honestly, that is not transparent. Job markets are still a nightmare, for the record. Terrible experience, nobody has fixed this. It's out there for the taking. We had hope that LinkedIn would help us one day, but it's maybe not delivering on that promise, huh? I would say the following. The best thing that I can think of to do is to go for quality over quantity of job applications. So really care about the places that you're applying to and make sure that that comes through in some way, right? Do you remember applying to college when you were really sweating over that personal statement and it was I am gonna make this a distillation of why this university should accept me into their program? And I know it feels like an anathema in a world where everything moves so fast, but I think in order to stand out as having something unique to offer and acknowledging that there is a lot of noise out there in the market, just showing, if you show me as a hiring manager that you have thought deeply about my business, I am going to pay attention to your application. I'm going to pay attention to it and so you have to figure out how to make that come across. Is it the cover letter? Is it a short email to the hiring manager via LinkedIn, or if you can get a hold of the email to actually send it via email? The work is hard and it's not a straight A to B path. But yeah, just show me that you're thinking deeply, because I think to Sharm's point, I'm looking for people who are problem solvers, right? I got a million problems. I need help.
Respectfully, you're assuming that job seeker A can get to you.
Yes, it is really hard. I will say this. I try to make myself available to I have people reach out to me all the time. I respond to every single person on LinkedIn who applies to a job post that I am either the hiring manager for or I am on the interview panel. And I give them my honest feedback, especially if I'm the hiring manager. I'll be like, hey, your profile looks about right, or, help me understand, why you think you're a good fit for this. But not everybody does that, okay? So I fully acknowledge this is hand-to-hand combat. It's not, this is not easy. And yeah, the job market, it's hard right now.
Maybe I'll offer some additional
Yes,
advice.
yeah.
So as someone who took a professional sabbatical and then went back into the workforce, and I know lots of people who are looking, I know lots of people who have been hired, and I know the job market isn't great. So first off, kudos to you for still being resilient and out there, because it's a feat. It's not the market that we had 5 years ago. I know people who have used AI to hyper-personalize their resumes, but without making it hyper-personalized. So M dashes, if you don't know how to use it and you weren't like a comms or English major, don't use them. Like that's usually the first telltale getaway, and everyone on my team jokes about it. But like I know someone who's had a partner enablement at Siemens, and he got that job by using AI to hyper-personalize his resume as he was applying for jobs, and he spent 20 years at Microsoft, and we're former colleagues and really good friends. And I found that absolutely fascinating when we had our like quarterly catch-up. But I'd say humans still matter, connections and experiences still matter. I'm a 20-plus year vet in the industry, and every job I have gotten except for my very first job has come from a networking contact. So I'd say make a point of maybe every week picking 1 to 2 people to connect with, either expecting nothing in return or giving something of value, either something interesting you read that can help them understand how AI is impacting their job, or even just coming to this conference, like something you learned and sharing that in a one-on-one with someone with coffee. I think that's really important. I think also joining organizations, and I know that's a little cliche, but I'll make a plug for all the women in the room. There's a nonprofit organization called Women in Revenue. Sorry, men. And it doesn't matter if you're customer success, your sales, you are GTM, you are marketing. I think it's a great organization. It's women post job postings there that don't get posted anywhere else. There are local and geographical connections. There are people who are posting their own thought leadership so they can like rise in clout. And some of those people own their own shops, and some of those people are looking for jobs. And I think that's a great resource for a lot of women to learn. So again, it's not AI or human. I think it's AI-human synergy at the end of the day.
I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes and looking for a job, but one thing that everyone's using keywords or AI to filter resumes, and it's like I don't know anyone who's not turned that on in their ATS. And I've been surprised that for all the resumes that I've reviewed, thousands of this year, like the resumes aren't like trying to combat that. Like I was telling a friend who was looking, like if you had like it doesn't matter how long resumes are anymore, like it just goes to the ATS. Like I was telling her, I was like, you should have a page in your resume that's just like a ton of keywords. Like then you'll always get past the keyword filter. Or like if somebody had a page at the end of the resume that was like LLM training doc, and it was like, you know, you wrote it for like an LLM of like why you're great. Like if I saw that, I'd be like, that person's smart. They like know what they're doing. Like they're thinking AI first, and like, you know, have it on like page 3 of your resume, and like maybe that helps get through. Like I don't know, I haven't tested it, but yeah, there is like a lot of like AI ways to filter out the resumes, and I'm like, somebody should like get past that, just fight it. And I'll just go like put a bunch of keywords.
I co-sign that. Also, randomly, this is another tool that should exist in the world. Workday. Have you ever applied to a job on a Workday platform? Worst experience.
Awful.
Okay, somebody needs to build the thing that just like, you know, you plug your resume in and then it does it for you on the Workday thing. Because you're like upload your resume and then you're like, oh, I have
Also
to
out
redo
all-
everything. Anyways, there are a lot of employers that use Workday because they have to, and that's another question for another time. But that would be a great way to get a job at Workday. Based in Pleasanton. Be like, I fixed your software for you. Anyway, sorry. Tangent.
Oh, okay. I have a question. Are we done with this one? Sorry.
Did we answer your question? Did we give you some ideas?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Women in
for sure.
revenue?
Yeah, Women in Revenue.
Okay.
And it's free to join. There's no membership fee. There's organizations that sponsor, and that feeds directly into Women in Revenue speaker programs, mentorship, and then summits that they do.
Okay, guys. So my question is on AI marketing and SEO. So we spoke about websites, right? And I want to start by saying we use okay, I use ChatGPT a lot. So when I'm on ChatGPT, let's say I ask a question and say, where can I find the best leather jacket in Manhattan? There's a list that comes out from ChatGPT. So my question is on optimization of websites. So for the companies that show up, how do you guys optimize that, in particular to AI, to ChatGPT? Or if I choose to ask Meta on WhatsApp for, let's say, a recommendation, and then there are certain companies that show up, how are you optimizing your website so that AI can then suggest them to us when we look for information?
Great question. I'll take a first stab, and then I think these two will probably have a deeper dive in that. I think having structured data around your content is still super, super important. People are having the conversation, and Pepper just hosted the first AI search conference. What month are we in? November? Last month, beginning of last month. Days run into each other. And so SEO versus GEO versus website optimization. Structured data still matters for your content. I think that's the first. I think the second is those H2 headings, like your second headers, third headers, fourth headers. I alluded to it earlier about the clients that we talked to who we advised to change it from a statement to a question because LLMs are built on prompts and questions. I'm seeing that also being a trend. Third is also keywords still matter, and then I think the fourth is making sure that you're democratizing across different references. It's not just your site that has to be the source of data. So when I put my enterprise marketing hat on, it's not just our first party content, it's third party content, it's also referenceable data. So like from Gartner and Forrester to then what Wikipedia may say or what the New York Times may write or what Crunchbase may have. Making sure that your content is structured correctly, but also that it's surfaceable in other referenceable databases. I think that's also super important to optimize for AI. Go ahead, guys. Anyone else to add?
Sure. It seems like good on-page SEO is good on-page AEO, GEO. Like maybe there's some small changes on how you think about headings, but best practices for SEO, best practices for GEO or AEO, except for off-page. Like we used to always think about like writing an article that'll rank in the top listing, and now I'm like just meeting with our team a bunch of like what sources are being cited, instead of like writing an article to compete with that, like let's go get cited in those. So we actually like go reach out to the cited sources and offer them money to include our brand in that list. They're mostly listicles, so that we can be included in the LLM citation. And I now spend more time on Reddit. I now spend more time on G2. Like we've just thought a lot about like our definite like off-page strategy has changed. Instead of like competing, more like get into the existing listings. And yeah,
you mentioned like what you said is super important. It's can AI find you, brand voice, can AI cite you, brand mentions, and then can AI reference you. You might pop up, but like are you cited and are you repeatedly referenced? I think that's super important.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have too much to add. I mean, I think, Reddit definitely has emerged as a much more important play there. I would also say, and this is not new, and maybe I'm just saying a lot of not new things, I think paying attention to long tail keywords can be really important and also really cost efficient, and that's still very true. So there might not be a ton of search volume, but if those keywords are really like getting at like the key problem. I talked to a company that ran their like 90% of their strategy was long tail keywords. And it was around like really narrow use cases that their tool solved, right? From like across many different functions. It was super interesting. And it was incredibly successful. So, I think that's not like there's no one easy win, but you don't need to rip everything out and change it. You probably just need to maybe think about some of these newer like plays and maybe tweaking some of the content to like kind of meet the you know, how these LLMs are looking for information to get a little bit more visibility. I haven't played around with too many tools that are available, but they are out there, and like a lot of them have free trials, so it's probably worth checking out like AirOps or whatever. There's like probably like 15 of them.
I think the research is out there too. So there are
Yeah.
people who are paying very close attention to this right now, saying, okay, G2, Forrester, Gartner, these are driving an outsized impact in LLMs right now. Reddit is number 2, I think. So they're tracking this on a monthly basis,
Yeah.
and if you pay attention to that, you know where to focus, because it's going to shift with the next model anyway. And so just keeping a level head about it, I think, is the best way to stay on top of it. And we're out of time. I want to thank our panelists. Thank you for all the questions too. Really appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.